everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of CLX Foundry Live, where we go deep inside customer builds and we assemble them from the ground up. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, here, of course, their lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, it's Hayden Hutchinson, the man who created the machine behind me. There we go. Hi, gentlemen. It's going to be a fun day. We've got some great things to go through, but we've also got to cover some fun stuff because right over Hayden's left shoulder is what you could, left shoulder, yeah, it was what you could possibly win. It is a partnership with Atmo Esports. We've created an incredible giveaway opportunity for, especially for those of you who love driving games. There is Thrustmaster accessories and more, and it's all there if you type exclamation give Atmo. See, Well's got it. Well checked. Well heck. Welly heck. You know what? Hi, welcome to the show. So if you'd like to know more about how you can get involved, literally just click that link and go and do all the fun things. We give out codes here on this show, sometimes in our Discord at discord.gg/CLX Gaming, on our social media at Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And then, of course, over on my stream, I throw some codes out as well. So definitely keep your eyes open. In the meantime, we've got an incredible build for somebody whose name I forgot to ask before we started.
Yeah, we've got a build for Nicholas in Wisconsin.
Nick, we're just going to call him Nick in Wisconsin. There we go. So, Wisconsin, not Wisconsin. Wait, is it sin? Like the evil?
I think so.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Jeez.
Welcome to our show. Check this out. We've got so many fun things going into this. Paul, walk us through what's going into this PC.
Yeah, so he has custom configured a raw off our website. So starting out, we've got a Ryzen 9 7900X 3D for our processor. We got a CLX Quench 360 AIO to cool that. For our motherboard, we've got an MSI X670-P Wi-Fi. We've got 64 gigs of GSkill DDR5 5600 speed memory. A 4 terabyte Western Digital SN850X Black for M.2 drive. I believe that's a first for the show. I definitely haven't seen one.
Yeah, that
in a
definitely
long
is
time.
a first.
Yeah, so, and then our video card, we've got a 4090. We've got the MSI Gaming Trio version, so this is a really big card. Biggest box we got right here, so excited to see that in this case. Our case, we've got the Phanteks NV7 in black. So get to do another one of these, which is really awesome. We really like these cases.
This is we've now done 2 NV7s in a row.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah,
I'm wondering, does this mean that this is a super popular case that everybody feels the need to jump up on because it's actually super rad? I feel like it is.
I think so. It's definitely gained a lot of popularity here. So yeah, we got 12 fans going in this and a 1,000-watt power supply. So yeah, start out with the motherboard as usual, and we'll get the case over here.
It's a beast. All right, let's start talking about that. This is a Pro X670-P Wi-Fi motherboard by MSI. It's got a great I/O shield. It's got some really specifically, like I dig the lines that the heat sinks create. You've also got that south bridge, plus you've got the upper heatsink for the primary or main M.2, which is absolutely useful, especially given the fact that we've just gotten something that, well, we're going to be putting something very large in there. Hashtag size matters. Nope, that's not right. Darn it. For hard drives, that's all I'm saying. So, that being said, let's talk about the Pro Series MSI board here for just a second. We've got some really great elements, including some wonderful connectivity. Now, we do not have an in-place I/O shield, so we're going to be putting that on the back, but we do want to take a look at what is on that board real quick. All right, so if we take a look at the side, that top side. So at the very top, we've got our we've got our DisplayPort and HDMI. Now, because we've got an incredible graphics card going in here, we don't really need them. We've also got, as you can see, the 2 red ports. Those are, well, the red port and the USB-C. That is our USB 3.2 Gen 2. You've got 4 USB 3.1s, and then you've got the another 3.2, which is below that is your USB-C, and that's a Lightning 20 gig USB-C. So it's a little bit different. It runs faster, up and down. Below there, you've got your Wi-Fi 6, and of course, we've got our surround sound audio ports all located here right before you plug it all in. Hayden, what's next?
Well, I think Paul needs
we'll get you that processor. And
yep.
I got the hardware for the AIO up there too.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter.
I can do that while I'm pulling these panels off this case.
Excellent. For our processor, we are going to be going with an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D. Now, this is a pretty powerful processor, and it's kind of ridiculous the way that it rolls around. Paul, can you explain why this processor is unique and what kind of benefits it brings to the user?
Yeah, so this processor is a 12-core, 24-thread processor. It's got a base speed of 4.4 and a boost up to 5.6 if it can. So the most unique thing about this processor, though, is that 3D part. So AMD has come out with a way to have the 3D cache stored on top of the die itself. So bigger surface area, which means we can have a larger cache, which means better performance overall.
That's great, and I really loved some of the feedback we've gotten about the performance of these processors. It's actually really fun.
Yeah, it's some groundbreaking technology that I think we'll see a lot more advancement on, you know, like 5 years from now. I think this is like the first discovery of it, and it'll become something crazy in a while.
Which is great. Now, obviously, we're going to be going with an AIO for this. So because it's an AIO, we've got to have what's called a retention kit. Now, that's how we mount the pump for the AIO onto the top of the processor. Hayden, what goes into looking into making sure that you've got the right thing in the right place so that you know you're not screwing up what's about to happen?
Yeah, okay, so I guess I threw that away. The bag is labeled AM4, AM5 because AM4 and AM5 both use the same type of retention kit. All you're getting is you're getting your little bracket, and then in the box you'll get these little cylinder caps, and you'll also get these little standoffs. As you can see, one side is shorter than the other. The short side's the AM5 side, the longer side's the AM4 side. And all you do is you put those pieces together and you screw it on to the bracket that's already literally on the board.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, there we go.
And then you just screw those on, and let's say that processor was in there, that, you know, it's gonna go on there like that. And
so it's an O-ring with wings.
Basically.
Yes. All right, let's start by getting this processor in here. Obviously, AMD and Intel, two very different processors, two very different processes. We are going to be removing the. Are we going to be removing the thermal paste on the thingamajigger?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So when it comes to Ryzen's, what really stands out as being a big difference between them and their Intel rivals?
Well, I will say AM4 had a big difference because AM4's chip was like this and it was sideways. This is kind of like Intel's, where you have it upwards now, and the triangle's in the top left. But it's mainly just how it sits in the socket.
Yeah, there used to be the big difference being the pins on AMD were on the processor
now they're
itself. Yep, but now they're both AMD and Intel have the pins on the motherboard, so a little bit more similar now, kind of than they've ever been.
I don't think anyone's going to match that shape though. That little puzzle piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It does look like
it's a lot of it's a lot of fun, and it looks really cool.
It looks
We did have a couple questions coming in, and I just wanted, what's up, Crunch Chip is in the house. I did want to say welcome. If you have questions about anything that you happen to hear us talk about, what you hear them mention, things you've heard them say, because I'm not going to say anything so far intelligent that you can't figure it out, please ask in the chat. That would be wonderful. We did have a question about, do AM5s run really hot? And I, of course, responded as a joke, but let's talk about that heat difference between the AM4 and AM5 socket set.
Yeah, so they definitely run warmer than the AM4. We've seen that with both Intel and AMD on these new processors.
The newer gen.
Everything's just running hot now.
You can't get away from running hot.
Yeah.
It's a powerful chip. You're gonna be running hot.
Yep.
As long as you're not, going over that threshold, then nothing to worry about.
It'll shut itself off if
Yeah.
it gets too hot.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. All right, now part of the process for making sure that we've got something to cool down our Ryzen 9 7900X3D is our AIO, also known as an all-in-one, but it's not the only way to cool a CPU. Paul, how many different ways are there to cool a CPU, and what are the different protocols when you're determining how to manage that cooling process?
Yeah, so for cooling your CPU, you've got two main categories. You've got air cooling and liquid cooling. Obviously what we're doing today is liquid cooling with an AIO, but if we were doing air cooling, that's typically the stock fan that comes with the processor. It's usually a chunk of metal with some fins cut into it and with a fan on top that takes the heat away. Pretty simple design there. There's some aftermarket ones that look pretty cool. But then getting into liquid cooling, you've got closed loop and open loop are the two main categories there. So what we're doing, we're liquid cooling with a closed loop. So this is our AIO or all-in-one. This is the radiator obviously right here. We've got our tubes going into our cold plate and our pump. So all-in-one meaning we don't have to open this up at all. All the coolant is already in here. We just install the right hardware on the motherboard, put this on, and we are good to go. So AIOs are definitely the easiest way to get superior cooling on your CPU. Going with a 360 is, you know, definitely a good choice there. But if you want to go nuts and you want to get into the open loop, we do offer that as well. Hayden does pretty much all of those here. We've done a couple of those on the show in the past, so if you want to see those, you can check them out on YouTube. But that's where we do custom tube bending. We actually take apart the video card if it's a GPU block, and really get into it. It's a lot more labor that goes into those, but they look really nice.
Now, we do have a couple questions coming in from the audience. Now, we've got a new member, Samantha. Hello, Samantha. It says, would you suggest liquid or air? And of course, Toxic, who also was told that their next PC has to be from us, and I appreciate that because you're not wrong. We actually saw, all of us here on the show saw some really wild air coolers at DreamHack. So there are some exceedingly efficient air coolers, but as a general rule of thumb, Paul, what's the direction that you think you should go with that?
For air cooling or liquid cooling, so I will always recommend liquid cooling, just because if you have current stuff and even older processors, like they have their boost clock that they want to hit, but they're not going to hit that if they don't have good enough cooling. So to get the most use out of a processor, it's good to have that extra cooling so that it can boost up to the clock speed. I mean, that's what you paid for when you were buying the processor. So if you've got older hardware and you're just trying to limp along a computer and you don't want to put a lot of money into it, then yeah, definitely go for an air cooler. But if you're, got anything close to current, definitely look at liquid cooling. Pick an AIO that you like. There's 100 different brands that have all sorts of different looks, and they should fit every socket. So definitely recommend going with liquid cooling. That being said, make sure that the radiator you're getting can't fit in your case. These 360s that we're using, they're obviously pretty long, so they're not going to fit in every case out there. So that's the only thing to take into consideration. If you do decide to go with an AIO, make sure it can fit in your case.
Yes, all the things. There we go. Yeah, definitely play around with our configurator. We'll go over their website and how to use it here in just a little bit. Let's see here. All right, right now we've got the wiring going in for the AIO. We watched as Hayden put down that thermal paste. That was the little dot of gray stuff that goes between the processor and the pump. Would either of you like to explain why we need to put thermal paste down there and what that process looks like?
You got this, Hayden? You want me to
Yeah, I
take
got it.
Cool.
So you obviously want that thermal paste there. It's a thermal compound. It's going to distribute that heat so you're not burning up your CPU. If you didn't have that paste, you would be overheating and your system would probably shut down before,
Yes,
I would hope
absolutely.
Your system would shut down.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned one thing that you saw, Hayden, while we were at DreamHack about the absolutely do not ever do your AIO or mount it like this, because you saw some things pointed in the wrong direction. Why was that, and what's the best way to place that AIO pump on your system?
Now, see, you can mount it however you want. It's your PC. You build it however you want to build it. But the way it was routed is where it wouldn't have good thermals. The water inside, the liquid inside, I guess you would say, wasn't going to reach the CPU and you would probably most likely have air inside it, and you don't want that. You do not want air in your pump.
Yeah, I think the general idea is you want the radiator to be above the pump in the system. So it doesn't necessarily have to be at the highest point, but when we talk about pump, we're talking about this right here, the part that's sitting on top of the processor. So if you can have these two tubes where they're going in above that, that is ideal. Now, like Hayden said, if it doesn't go that way, it's okay, but that's what's ideal.
We saw one where, what was it? It was the radiator was on the bottom or on the lower side. Somehow it was just everything was below the pump, and we all went, wait, what? What? How did that even happen? But yeah.
I think I've seen one instant where that was okay. It wasn't here. It was and I think it was like some video, but like the manual was recommending it or something. Something like that. But
yeah. Now you will notice the fans that Hayden is attaching right now. Those are, of course, our Gamdias Aeolus M2 ARGB fans with a black frame on them. There's 12 of them because the NV7 is a very tall case. So it provides some pretty unique situations for how you can configure all of your fans, including 2 exhaust fans, and you've got a triple on the top, 2 exhaust fans in the back, triple on the top, and you have a potential for up to 4 on the back. So lots of airflow. This is one of those things, this case breathes so well. Samantha has a random question, says, is there anything negative about completely shutting down your PC every night?
No, I shut my PC down every
I
night.
recommend shutting it down.
Yeah, I would definitely do that, especially now. I'm assuming you have an SSD in your system, so where boot times aren't, aren't minutes. I don't know. I mean, when I hear somebody like actually use the sleep function in Windows, it kind of makes me look at them a little differently. I'm like, who does?
I will be honest. I don't have a sleep function, but my streaming PC stays on constantly because every time I restart it, Windows changes all of my audio settings and like reassigns just random stuff to random things, and I have to go back in OBS every single time and reassign everything in place. So it's like, screw it, I just will stop restarting my computer. So it's been running for a while.
DJ, I want you to go to Task Manager and look up the uptime on that.
Oh yeah.
Be like 20 days. Your uptime. It's in Task Manager. There's a clock feature in there that'll tell you how long your system has been on.
Just gonna have a picture of that lady from the Titanic.
Yeah. I think my workstation was on for 10
go to
days.
details?
Yeah.
Or services?
It should just go to Task Manager, and I think you can go to Performance and scroll down on Performance. Like if you do Performance in like CPU, you can scroll down. It should tell you uptime or whatever I don't know what the term is.
That's 18
hours or 18 days. The first number is
18
days.
years.
No, I don't think it's years.
I do the math on this.
Quick math.
27 days, 3 hours, and 18 minutes.
There you go. Almost a month straight.
Since our last work-related injury.
Does that mean that I should probably reboot this at some point today?
Not a bad idea.
I think
Probably after you're done streaming.
yeah.
It's
Should I be
probably
shutting
gonna
this down?
update.
Since it's because it's air cooled, and should I be shutting this off every night?
I mean, honestly, like it'll be fine. I would still recommend shutting it down, but it's nothing to worry about. Honestly, you're just making you might save like $2 or $3 on your electric bill if you shut it off every night.
it's not going to
So
be.
I mean, what's $2 or $3? I don't know.
Yes. There we go. People, don't be mean. That's all I'm saying. I do shut the gaming PC down every night.
That's good. That was probably going to consume more power.
That's the good one.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
I just gave Hayden the Western Digital drive, so I'm kind of excited to see this come
Western
out.
Digital drive. Well, let's take a look at that right here. We have got an amazing operating system storage drive, and this is a 4 terabyte Western Digital Black SN850X M.2 NVMe. Now, this is the first time we've ever used this drive on any of our systems, but it's got an incredible read-write speed, and it's also 4 terabytes all on one drive. Now, for those people who like to separate their things from the operating system versus everything else, What are some of the advantages versus disadvantages for having your entire operating system plus all of your programs on one drive versus having them on two?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing for me that I think is an advantage of just having one giant drive is you don't have to worry about a hard drive filling up and then, oh, I got to change my file path for when I download something. I know that's kind of small potatoes, but that's the biggest thing I can think of. Like, I had to do that when I was downloading Diablo 4. My main drive did not have 86 gigs on it. So I was like, oh, it's kind of annoying. But also, if you like having your stuff separated, you can partition out your hard drive to where your PC will see it as two separate drives. So if that is something you want to do, that option is there. I guess another big pro to having one big drive is it leaves you all the expansion available on your motherboard for more drives later on down the road.
I agree. I personally have mine set up to where I have like my main games on my M.2.
Yeah.
And then
I've got two 500 gig M.2s and a 4 terabyte that I guess
Small
is plugged
flex.
in. But yep.
So we're going to get that popped in there. We do have a couple questions coming in from chat. First of all, Chilling Gaming says, hi, Jason. Toxic Rat mentions, I literally had to run out and get a backup PC because my build bricked last night. So, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. Samantha asks, what size SSD would you recommend for a first gaming PC?
So for your first gaming PC, I wouldn't go any lower than a 500 because that'll get your operating system on there and then, you know, a couple games. I feel like the standard is becoming more 1 terabyte now than 500.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're wanting to lean closer to that, do the 1 terabyte. It's probably not much more expensive than the 500 gig anyways.
Speaking of prices, go get your 1 terabyte M.2s now. $50.
50 bucks. Yeah, go get that if you can get that for $50.
I think
That's
Samsung's.
Wait, where? Where is
Samsung
that?
980s.
980 Pros. I was on PC Part Picker this morning, just putting some stuff together, and
That's cool.
I think it was on Amazon.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean,
It's a
yeah,
good deal.
yeah. So
And
I guess I go with 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah.
I'm typically used to just saying 500 for a first
500 is
PC,
what
but
I
I
got.
guess 1 terabyte. Which I've got two 500s, but maybe I need two 1 terabytes.
See, the thing is, I have 500
Yeah,
M.2,
buddy.
and then I have a 4 terabyte Seagate.
Yeah.
Which I really need to upgrade that to an M.2, but I haven't.
Yeah, I need to do the same. But yeah, 500 or 1 terabyte. Definitely don't go with a 250 or anything like that, because you'll just be upset. You get your
You'll be
operating-
upset.
You'll get your
You're
operating
deleting a
system.
game every week.
Yeah. You get your OS on there in one game, and then you'd be like, oh, I got to go download this game. I need to delete this other one.
Shouldn't be like that.
Alrighty. There's our memory, Hayden. So, the plastic will defeat you.
Candy superstition.
Alright. Got the memory going in next. Ooh, you alright?
Okay, got our memory going in there. As far as memory goes for this, we've got two 16 gig sticks of GSkill DDR5 5600 RAM. That's a total of 32 gigs, which is quite impressive. There are always a policy and ways to determine which way goes up, which ones you use. Hayden, how do you determine which ones to put those in, and how do you make sure that you've got it in the correct spot and the right direction?
Okay, so anytime a new RAM comes out, it's kind of a practice for me now not to do it anymore because I've messed with it so much. But you can literally put it side by side like that. It's kind of hard to see, but there's that breakaway right there, that gap, and then that silver line. Well, if that line's lining up with that gap,
Here, let's. There we go.
if that line is lining up with that gap, you know you're going to be putting it in this way. If you go around, obviously you're way. It's hard to get on camera, but here there's only one way the RAM goes in.
And DDR4 and DDR, that notch is, it may look like it's in the center, but it's not. It's offset.
It's offset.
So they'll only go in one way. Now, DDR3, that notch was way off to the side, so it was very easy to tell. But DDR4 and DDR5, I wish they'd changed the notch because they got it pretty close to the middle.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to give it a double check before you put it in there.
Samantha asks, would a Wi-Fi motherboard be helpful versus one without?
Yeah, so a current gen Wi-Fi motherboard, really all that is it's got its Wi-Fi card already installed on the motherboard. So it's going to have the same connectivity, if not better, than a wireless card that you would buy. So If you're looking at boards with wireless, definitely go to that motherboard manufacturer's website. Make sure the transfer speeds, you can see the transfer speeds there. And if you compare that to like a wireless card you were going to buy, I bet you that motherboard wireless card is as good, if not better. So like on this one right here, this has onboard Wi-Fi. Obviously we have our antennas right here. You can see this kind of metal block around the, I'll try to get it better on there. You can see this kind of metal section that's here. Our M.2 Wi-Fi card is just right inside that metal. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing pre-soldered in or anything. It's just a Wi-Fi card pre-installed is what that is.
And it is, in fact, Wi-Fi 6E. It does also include support for Bluetooth 5.3. So you've got quite a lot of options for connectivity and being able to engage with the various different devices you'll want to connect to your PC. Now, I did notice that we don't have necessarily what they call the traditional I/O shield on the back by the ports. That's something we're going to have to adjust and manually do. So because of how many different ways there are to screw that up, walk us through how to adjust that properly.
Well,
for that purpose.
The same with like RAM and mostly a lot of things with PCs. There's only one way it can go in. It can go in the other way, but actually lining up with your board, it only goes one way.
If you want to, we can get it on camera here too, you installing that I/O shield.
You install it.
You want me to install it?
On that
you want
side,
to save your
work.
fingers? Yeah, let's do that. So, did you mention the tabs on here, Hayden?
I have not.
Okay, so when you get an I/O shield that is not pre-mounted on your motherboard, this is a pretty good shot here, Jason, honestly. So this is your I/O shield. Let me get these fans out of the way real quick. So this is our I/O shield. This is what will fill in all the gaps between there. So the first thing you want to do when you get one of these is turn around to the back. You'll see it's got these tabs here. Now this one's already bent up. Sometimes they'll be bent up, sometimes they'll be bent down like that. And the reason why we're looking at those is if those tabs are bent down and you install this, your motherboard's going to butt up against this tab. So like for this one specifically, we wouldn't be able to plug in our USB. So I always just go back here. I'm not even careful with it. I just bend that tab all the way back. If it breaks off, even better. Just throw it in the trash. These tabs here that are in the lines, you want to leave those how we are, or how they are. And what those are is they provide good pressure, kind of like a spring effect to keep everything in place. Not a big deal if those get out of whack, but these ones that you see, you don't have to bend back. You only want to bend back the ones that are actually covering the holes. So once you've got that done, you want to install it in your case. So obviously you want to make sure you got it the right orientation, which would be this way. I could install it upside down, but then we'd have to take it out and redo it. So there's no fancy way to this. The edges are very sharp and will cut your fingers. I've said this on the show before. If I'm trying to get a box open in the warehouse and I don't have a knife, I will grab the nearest I/O shield and just use that because they are that sharp.
Which is great.
So once you get it lined up in the rectangle, you just push it in pretty firmly. You can probably hear these clicks on my mic, and that's what you want to hear. I just go around each corner once I get it in.
Sometimes they're warped.
Sometimes they're
stubborn.
a pain. Sometimes they're not. This one went in really easy. So
I remember my first time on a PC that's now sitting here. I definitely installed the board first, and then thought I was going to pop the I/O shield on from the outside. Nope, that was wrong.
Oh yeah.
And I just found this in the bottom when I redid the office. I found this in the bottom underneath a bunch of other product boxes, and I was like, "Oh, there's my PC." And then I looked at it and went, I am giving myself a headache with my own cable management. It's still that bad. So now I've really got to focus in before I give this to my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, don't you worry. Your PC behind you's tied up.
It looks great.
Oh, yeah, this thing is lit. And so I had to pull the back panel off when I was looking at stuff, making sure checking all my power cords. That back panel is so gorgeous, but all of the wiring in the back, it's one thing watching you do it. It's another thing getting to see the things that you've done in person, and it's just wild. It's wild.
It is. Hayden's great at the tie-ups. All right, so
Samantha, this is a massive case. It is very tall. The upside to this is that it also has a really unique, a really unique ventilation structure. So
I think we'll get into
I'm gonna just get these back two fans on.
Those two fans. I'll get this screw out.
And actually, we need to get this one in too, because of that bar that comes out.
You want to do that before mounting the motherboard?
Yep, I'm gonna get these two fans, these 4 fans, and then we can do the board.
If you want to pull out, let's stand it up, and we'll pull out that back fan tray. I'll put in the rear fans if you want to do the ones in those trays. I think this is how me and Zach did it, since there's so many fans to install.
Yeah, and you can fit so many fans in this thing. Right now we are scheduled for 12, but technically you can fit 15 if you do a push-pull on your radiator. Now, currently, the only case that I know of that is consumer grade and not something utilized for servers or excessive farming of some kind, this one actually has 2 rear fans, which gives it a little bit more outflow. How does that affect the speed of the air, I would say, replacement inside of the device?
So yeah, it just essentially gives us a whole extra 120 mil exhaust there. And the reason for that is, since this case is so big, we have so many extra intake fans. It's good to have that extra exhaust.
Yeah, it's just been really, really fun.
So for these ones, Hayden,
and for right here, you can actually also go to that last shot, Jason. There you go. You can actually see the door that they're going to talk about here in just a little bit, but you can see it from the closed side because that's part of what is used for that cable management. Once Hayden gets all those cables around to the back, anything that's extra can be utilized in that door, and I will look forward to us being able to talk about that when we get there.
I was going to do those ones.
Samantha says, a friend of mine has a Funko Pop inside his PC. Would that cause any issues? I see people with solid dolls and such inside often.
I might do them wrong.
Paul, that's a good question.
You can.
What was that question? Sorry.
Funko Pop. You can
so
have.
Samantha mentions that.
Oh, in your PC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a friend of theirs has a Funko Pop inside of their PC, and would that cause an issue? I see people with little dolls and such inside often. In fact, we saw several like that at DreamHack, including a Hoth-themed Star Wars PC. We saw an Aliens and Matrix PCs. So, Paul, how does that affect what happens? And if you are going to put something secondary in your device, where would you want to place that so to make sure that it is not causing issues with any of the other peripherals?
Yeah, so the only thing that I would be concerned about that, wherever you're installing that model, pop figure, whatever it is that you want in your system, it's obviously going to be an airflow obstruction, which most of the time is okay. But you just don't want that close to or touching any of your fans. Other than that, you can go as wild as you want. There's a lot of cool stuff there. I would definitely use some sort of adhesive to secure them to your case. So like if it gets bumped, it doesn't fall over into a fan or something like that.
So what I used to have is the Gorilla Glue, that brand. They make this tacky stuff that can hold like 2 pounds or whatever.
Okay.
And so I tested it out on my GPU. I used to have like a little Funko or something like sitting on top of my GPU. And after about 2 years, I decided I don't want it no more. I took it off. That tacky glue, little putty stuff came right off.
Just came right off.
No residue.
I was going to say like sticky tack or
sticky tack.
Yeah, any of that type of stuff that will hold it there but won't leave a mark. Don't like super glue it to your case or anything. I mean you can if you want, but it ain't gonna. It's gonna take the paint off with it. Whenever
you go that type of modding, go
decide
ahead.
to change it up. Just zip tie it to your case. There you go.
Yeah, and make sure you leave the zip tie not cut.
Yeah.
If I wanted to share pictures of that PC, Ivory, where would I put that in our Discord? Hey, you have a spider in your PC? Indeed, real spider? That is relatively terrifying.
I had
because all it has to do is touch 2 different conduits and it will fry itself dead.
Mosquito? Like summer?
Ugh. Living there.
It flew in there. I don't know how it got in there.
Living there rent free.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, so anybody who has not already gotten in there, discord.gg/CLX Gaming. In the PC chat, I'm going to post some pictures of some of these amazingly awesome PCs from back in the day.
You want both these wires coming out here? Or one out here?
One out here, one out there.
Okay. Yeah, that Haas system was really cool. There's like icicles on the AIO and stuff. It was really cool.
And that was hot glue, I think.
It was hot. Yeah, I think it was hot. Well, I don't know if it's hot glue because I restuck them back on. Like we took them off the AIO and they were still sticky enough for us to put back on.
Maybe it was like sticky tack.
So it was something like that. It looked like hot glue.
Whatever it was, it wasn't.
Did I get a picture of the Haas system? Dang. I am going to send that one though. because this one was so amazing. It literally had an active screen with the Matrix code running down it, and it had one of the, oh, I forget what their names are, but they were the giant balls with the arms on them. But it was absolutely incredible.
Geodude.
The Sentinels, yeah, the Sentinels, and I was just like, what? Yeah, they were they were wicked. Still, one of my favorite things I've seen in movie was when those things came through the top of the ceiling and just kind of became a swarm. Oh my gosh, you really got that sense of the size and potential for what they were, how they could function. I don't know. I still love the Matrix films.
You taking the red pill or the blue pill, DJ? Which one? If it got offered to you right now, you staying
Which
in?
one does which?
Red pill takes you deeper. Red
No.
pill makes you have to eat the gray soup. Blue pill.
Oh,
you
no.
Get the steak.
No, I'm
I
getting blue
think-
pill. I'm getting out of the system, man.
Yeah. I think that's red pill. I don't know.
Or is that red pill? Then I'm taking the red pill.
Chat tells.
Either
you're
way,
going into. You're
I will-
going deep.
I'm going deep.
Yeah. Same.
Hey, it's like I want an orange pill. Also true.
Yeah. I saw a meme that was talking about when the Oracle first talked to Neo, she like wouldn't acknowledge. I didn't notice this obviously when I first watched it, but like she wouldn't acknowledge it until he accepted the cookie, and that was like the tech thing. Like, you must accept my cookies before we can communicate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, that's hilarious. I never knew that. Like, I never caught on to that.
Oh my God, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, well that makes a lot
And that
of
was
sense.
kind of like back. That was before like every website was like accept your cookies, you know. So pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so now we've got the fans going on. Now here's the thing, unlike most cases, we actually have a 4-stack on the fans for the back rear intake, and that is going to be super helpful in getting more fresh air in there. How often do you see a 4-stack?
Man, not often, honestly. That's got to be a pretty extreme high-end build.
You got an Elite,
An Elite
1000D.
1000D, NV7, something that you look at and you're like, that is huge. Like even the 011 and the Evolve.
If you have
X's
four
don't
120
have that.
fans stacked on top of each other, the case is going to be big.
Yep.
Yep. We couldn't even do that in my case.
Yeah.
And I love mine.
The 011's awesome.
Which I had to put a light behind it. I don't know if I told you guys this, so this is funny because you can see like now it's less problematic with the weird green screening, but so I had to put something to hold the green screen back from touching the back because the fan in pull is so strong from the 6 fans on the back of that radiator, it just sucks the green screen up right to the back of the PC every time. I was like, wow.
That's funny.
Wow.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I finally felt it get hot the other day for the first time. I was, because I've been playing everything on Ultra, and it was.
He didn't stop me. He's crazy.
I want to say Dead Island 2, or it was Destiny 2. Either way, it was wild, but it stayed cool for so long. I was confused. I was amazed. I was impressed. I will say the
That
only thing
just
I've
means
also
it's
been
working on
impressed. The other thing
Nintendo.
I've been impressed about is Windows 11. I did not think I was going to like it.
Did you just say you liked Windows 11?
Yeah, because I.
What?
Oh yeah, I have to change my other PC over to Windows 11.
Okay.
All right.
You just come around.
He likes it now.
Yeah.
Well, I just needed somebody to force me into a situation that I didn't want to be in.
Yeah. Fought that kicking and screaming, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As I usually do.
I've gotten used to it.
That was Hayden's fault anyways. So.
That was my fault. Yeah,
Yeah.
I blame myself.
I'm slowly learning stuff. Ilfane asking for that code, baby. Check PC chat. Oh, yes. Hold on. Phone. Nope, I can do that on the desktop. Okay. Boop, 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 boop.
I still got 10 as well, Zombie. I'll upgrade it when they tell me to.
Oh, wow, that's right. Dude, there it is. That's the Hoth system, people. God, this is gorgeous. Yeah, so there was figurines in there and ice all over the place and just epic, epic stuff. Maybe I should post the film in there that I took of the front of it. That's what I should do. I wasn't sure if film was even allowed in there. So, give me a second here.
All right, so.
Just kind of see how we're routing these.
Sure. A lot of fans. A whole lot of fans. It wasn't 3D printed. It was like, it was almost like, it was kind of like a gummy texture. Like it wasn't a solid,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a hard plastic. It was very flexible.
Oh, where did it go? I swear to God, I took a picture of that thing multiple times. Because I took pictures and didn't take film. Did you take a film of it?
I did not. Just a photo.
I did take a picture of this one. This was another one that was just wild to me. So bright. So bright and so incredible. Ta-da! We got our two exhaust fans in on the back. Yeah, this is one of those super color ones that just blew my mind. And it looked like there were 8 sticks of RAM on this board. All I know is that person was functioning far above and beyond everybody else's, yeah. So, all right, we got these fans going, and obviously cable management is significantly important. What are some of the best things to keep in mind as you are mounting everything from fans to your accessories before you throw your motherboard in?
So I'm just trying to get my fans on, and I want to make sure that my cables are going out the right slots, so that cable management is easier. And so when you look through the front, you cannot see the cables for the fans here. And now that these 4 here and then these 2 are ran, I can get this board in. If I had these fans and these fans in, we would not be able to get these 4 fans in. That slot is just not. That's too tall.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. Motherboard going in?
Yeah.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Here we go. All right, so we've obviously got to line this up with our standoffs. We've already got that IO shield in place. Anything specific we need to keep in mind while we're placing that, the open IO shield up against the shield that's already mounted?
Just, you want to make sure that it is lining up with your ports. You want to make sure your standoffs are on.
And on a board with antenna ports, those obviously kind of protrude out past the IO shield. So that's what I would use as your guide. Yeah. Like get those antenna ports in the right holes and everything else should line up good. Once you get the board actually in, you want to give just a quick visual inspection on the IO shield. Make sure none of those tabs that you bent back are in the way.
Yeah. Because if that goes in sideways, well, that's a problem.
Yep.
And then you have to pull the whole thing out again and redo it again. Okay, what's up next, gentlemen?
Now we'll be actually installing the screws to mount the motherboard. So it's sitting on our standoffs right now. Now we're going to secure our motherboard to the case.
And standoffs are important because it creates that electromagnetic layer or distance between everything else. What can that affect if you don't do this right?
So if you got your standoffs in incorrectly, worst case scenario is you have an extra one where there shouldn't be one, because that standoff is going to make contact with that motherboard if there's not a mounting hole on your motherboard for it, which is metal on metal, and that could cause a short on your motherboard, could cause no issues, could fry your motherboard, and everything in between. If you're missing a standoff, that's a lot better than having an extra one. It's just one less mounting point for your motherboard to be secured. So definitely a lot less of a bigger deal to not have one than to have an extra one.
In the past, we had a system come in and it had an extra standoff, and it was shorting out. The customer didn't know why it was getting shorted out.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, it wasn't fried, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing to troubleshoot too, if it's not causing just a major issue.
You really can't see on the back.
Yeah, and that's not what you would think. You're like, oh, this, you know, it doesn't say my motherboard's shorting out, just causes some weird issues. You wouldn't think like, check the standoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know about that story because a friend of ours didn't check standoffs, had the wrong motherboard in the wrong case, and it fried lots of things. Fried lots of things.
Fried. Like a
I had
like
a
state
fried board
fair.
on delivery. I had a board from Amazon that was just not, it was dead on arrival.
Wow.
I had a fried Twinkie once at the state fair.
Fried
It was
Twinkie.
really good.
You ever had the Captain Crunch corn dog?
No,
It's
Captain Crunch corn
ground
dog.
up. It's like powder, and that's in the
Ooh.
batter.
That sounds good.
It's really good. If you like sweet stuff, it's pretty good. All right.
Okay.
You want to hold the Sherman?
Yeah, so we're gonna be mounting our radiator to the top right now.
Perfect.
Getting the first screw in is always the spookiest. And then from there, you're pretty good.
Raby Steppin's like, send me a PC, Baldy. Yes. That's Lex Luthor to you, sir. Although in this chair, technically, I could also sort of be Professor X. I don't know. Never determined which one I should be. If I should go with being Professor X, I just can't find a levitating chair. I feel like that's the most difficult thing to arrange. There are not enough drones in the world to stick under my butt to make it lift me. So. And me too high guy. Yes. There we go. Yes, I got in a fight with my. Technically, no, I'm not bald, but I just haven't figured out how to get my hair out of active camo mode. Oh, there we go. Okay. So. All right, getting all the things put in the top. We're doing actually pretty good on time here, which is great.
Yeah, we've had a little bit more practice with these NV7s now. Just kind of pitching in a little bit and installing a couple fans. Saves some time. 8 screws.
You're talking about Michael Chiklis? Yo, that is a massive compliment. What Steve sees says you actually remind me of that guy from The Shield, the mean detective guy. Yeah, that's Michael Chiklis. He's an incredible actor. The guy has range for days.
Wasn't he like the Thing in Fantastic Four?
Yep, he was a Thing in Fantastic Four. He's been in a bunch of different shows.
He's cool.
DJ looking rocket.
There was a show about a family that got powers because of an accident, and yeah, it was a great show. Anyways, yeah, Michael Chiklis, love it. Xavier's wheelchair didn't levitate in the movies. In the later movies, it sure did. But like if you watch Days of Future Past, yeah, it levitates.
What if he was just making it levitate?
What if he actually had powers?
Yeah. I don't
Actually,
know
you know
any
what's
of the
even
lore, but maybe that's a thing.
more nuts is that you're probably right. Anybody watch Spaceballs? I grew up on that movie. That movie came out when I was a kid.
Space.
Or I was a
Oh man.
young. I was a near preteen. Yeah, that was a great movie.
Spaceballs was like
Never seen it.
slightly before my time, but I've still seen it and all that. I don't know. It didn't hit me like it hit other people. I'll say that. I just think of that dude as from the Honey We Shrunk Our Kids. that whole
Oh,
series.
Rick Moranis?
Yeah, Rick
Yeah.
Moranis. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
That's all I can think
an
of. when I
amazing,
see
another
that.
again, another amazing actor and director. Keep commenting, comrades. Yes. Absolutely mixed. Welcome to the show, by the way. Samantha says the white PC in the back is so pretty. I like when they have half white, and half black
yeah.
cases. Yes,
That's the one you can
Yep.
win.
absolutely.
And it comes with all
You don't even know if
sorts
your
of
country's
stuff.
on the list. There are, yeah, so definitely check the countries that are eligible on the site just by typing !give Atmo. And you'll be able to check and make sure that you've got access to that. Yeah, absolutely did, Zombie. And it's only been recently that since his kids graduated or are in college, that he's finally kind of stepped back into the light. But he was a consummate, like an incredible family man, and I absolutely respect his choice to do that. I think that was the most noble and caring thing he could do, especially when you go through something so life-altering as losing your spouse and your kids losing their parent. Georgia, the state, or Georgia, the country? Because I feel like there's two different, the country of Georgia. That is an excellent question that I don't have an answer for yet, but I can certainly try and look that up.
Whoa,
Yes,
came
Georgia
back.
is included in that list.
nice.
Yep. If you just look at the link and it says 209 countries, click on that where it says 209 countries, and then see if you can find everything's in there in alphabetical order. India's there. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of places that are available. Lots of places. Yep. All right. And sadly, I cannot compete in this thing. All right, so we've got this all ready to go. Now it's a matter of taking a look at what's going to be going in the back. Now, Paul, this is kind of a 2/3 level design. What does that mean when we say it's a 2/3 design for the case?
Yeah, so what that means is the motherboard sits up here, right behind this. You can see the bottom of it, kind of 2/3 sunken into the case. And so what that allows is for extra components to be back here and out of the main body. So the power supply for this case is going to be installed up here. And then we got our hard drives and extra drives that can be stored here. Now, obviously, we just have an M.2 drive for this order, but if we did have any 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives, they would be stored here. And what that allows is those components to get fresh air in from the back on their own, and then they exhaust that out here. So none of the heat from these components will be in the main body of the case. It also just gives an overall general cleaner look to the front of the case to not have your power supply out in the open with all the cables coming out of it.
Yeah, nice. So I remember looking at my thing changing its colors and doing its things. Yes. Soup guy. Yes. So yeah, I also have been having a lot of fun between the Armory Crate software and my remote control, just playing with things, the way things look. I do know that every time I have anything green, it disappears. I'm like, oh no.
It's gone.
Darn it. But there are so many different options just in the remote control for this thing. You know, there's a lightning one where there's just sparks coming off the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. Go to blue. Or purple. Well, let's go to dark blue. That's even better. Look at that. All right.
He's just playing with this PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sit here and play with stuff forever. But yeah, anyways, I digress. If you haven't got your PC yet, definitely get it ordered because these are legit. I love it.
They're pretty cool. So Hayden is working on cable management right now, and like most builds, starting out with cable management, he's working on the fans. So
Got it.
this build obviously has 12 fans, which is a lot more than we're used to. So we've got 2 fan controllers. Now these type of fans, these are the Gamdias Aeolus M2 fans. This is what the fans plug into and how they're controlled. This is the controller box. So each one of these boxes can hold 8 fans. We obviously have 12. So we've daisy chained 2 together. So that way we can plug 8 in one and 4 in the other, and they'll all be synced up the same. So Hayden's kind of getting all these fan cables ready, and then he'll plug these into the box and manage those cables and then move on from the tie-up from there. So really good tip for doing your tie-up is just break it into sections, and that way Hayden will be done with all 12 fan wires and his fan cables, and he'll have that mess out of the way to work on the rest of the system.
Nice. Which is great because, I mean, yeah, I have 13 fans in mine and 2 fan controllers, and when I open that thing up, I'm like, well, that barely fits there. Also, I didn't know there were tiny, tiny screws on that rear air dam.
Oh, yep. Yeah, there are.
Very tiny screws on that rear air dam.
Small ones.
I had to hunt for my screwdriver that would be capable of...
I've lost so many of those.
I have a case. I have a leather case of ones that I've had forever, and I called it my PC surgical kit. I haven't the faintest idea where it's gone. It has left the building somehow. But yeah,
It's gone.
I will say that this case, though, the sarcophagus this thing gets sent in is the perfect stand. You know, and you can, just from this angle right here, let's talk about that stand. You can see how the bottom is actually at an angle and it aims towards what will be the front of the glass eventually. Normally, traditionally, like with mine and other that have been around, you've got it flat and it blows straight up into your graphics card. Well, they've taken a different approach this time. So it will be providing fresh air to the graphics card's intake fans. However, it's also going to be blowing air up around the front, which causes multiple things to happen. It causes the glass to actually cool down. It creates a better circular airflow for the intake and outtake exhaust fans. So it's replacing that air in there. You don't get dead pockets, and there's a better opportunity for you to get a more even cool down inside the case.
Yeah, this is the first case I've seen that has had those intake fans be at an angle at the bottom. So pretty cool design there.
You can change it.
And you can change it, yep. If you were ever in a situation where you wanted to make that level, you can do that with this case as well.
I've lost 2 of my SteelSeries Bluetooth things, so I haven't been able to use my headphones in months. Headphones that don't have those, well, technically, if they're Bluetooth, you can just connect them to the Bluetooth on your board.
Yeah, if your board is somewhat current, has
yeah.
Wi-Fi on board, most likely it's got Bluetooth as well. It's been many years since I've seen a motherboard come with wireless and not have Bluetooth on it.
My motherboard does not have Bluetooth, but I went on Amazon. I bought like a $10 little
Bluetooth
USB.
card. Oh, USB?
USB.
There you go. Yeah.
It has every function that one of those PCIe cards has.
Nice.
Mike Peace asks, why is it always a 10 millimeter? How do you mean? 10 millimeter or what? Oh, well, there we go. Screwdrivers. Kate, sorry, Captain Kate. Let me go back up. Apparently, I missed a few things. Captain Kate says screwdrivers disappear in my house like 10 millimeter sockets in a garage. You're not wrong. Those tiny little sockets are so useful. But my gosh, all it takes is one just bouncing on the ground and it's suddenly gone forever.
So you get the Harbor Freight 10 millimeter set.
Bingo, baby.
That's the way. Yeah, you gotta have it.
Now I have my set.
There's some things that are, some things you want to and can buy at Harbor Freight. Other things you should never buy at Harbor Freight. You gotta just pick and choose. Like, please don't buy machetes from there because it makes you look like a psychopath. What are you doing today? Murder. What?
I'll be back for rags.
I also need some plastic sheets, some duct tape, and some weights.
Well, then you have to go down the street for some bleach.
Some bleach.
Sorry, took a very dark turn. So Radical asks, "This PS4 doesn't support Bluetooth without a dongle, if I remember correctly." I do not have information on that. I do not own a PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that either.
I have a PlayStation, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Necro's a mechanic and says the 10 millimeters and the 12 millimeters are the most ones we lose. Yeah, and it just falls, and it's like, dude, can we get a box of these in bulk? Where's our box of 10 millimeters or a box of 12 millimeters? I want like a box of 64 stacked so I can just grab a new one and be like, all right, here it goes. What up, Endeavor? How you doing? All right, now, I did have a good question coming in from Hey Hi. What's the weirdest case you've ever worked on?
Oh, man. Weirdest case we've ever worked on. So I did a build back when I first started here, like I'd been here for a little bit, but maybe 5-6 years ago. I basically wanted to have my PC in a drawer under my desk that I could pull out. So I took
What year was that?
Oh man, I don't know, probably like I said 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. I had like a
Makes sense for
iStar
its time.
3U. Yeah, I had like an iStar 3U server case. So 3U is the depth. So the case was probably this big. I had everything mounted. It barely fit, but it did fit. But the thing that made it go south was my video card sat up like this in the case. So for me to plug in my power connector, it was on the top. So I had to Dremel out a square of the top panel just so the little bend from the power cable could do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then I wanted it to be
can't believe that it
green.
worked out.
So like I spray painted the chassis green before, but I didn't use like any sort of clear coat, so it didn't stick. It was real bad. It didn't work out. So that might have been the weirdest. That Explorer 2 case we did for the Milestone stream not that long ago was a pretty weird one.
That was great. Yeah, that was a disaster in the making. I loved it. Yeah. All right. Now, I did see you bring up what looked like a graphics card. Let's talk about that and what's going to be going in the system for that, because we've got an NVIDIA 4090. Whose 4090 do we have?
We've got a 4090 from MSI. This is their gaming trio version. It is huge.
Nice.
It is definitely the biggest box out of all the parts we've had for this build, aside from the case.
That is a big, big baby.
It's a chomper.
Yes.
So, go ahead and get this out. Comes out like
Obviously, the 4090, one of the biggest and baddest graphics cards out there to date. This thing is wild. I'm just waiting. Jeez, I can see the amount of weight it's just pulling down on that strap. That's absurd.
All right.
He just tosses it.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right? Yes. So, what was the question? Samantha says, plus we're other on Bluetooth. Oh, yeah. There you go. And yes, you can get codes. You know, obviously we'll be giving out a code today here. We've got codes coming out on my stream in a little bit, which will be great. So lots of opportunities for you to get extra entries, which is always wonderful. MSI does a nice water-cooled one. They do. It's brand new, but it is. It's definitely cool. Look at the size of that chunky graphics card.
This is big. That is for sure. And it is heavy.
Put it on a treadmill. So let's talk a little bit about this. This obviously is some extreme venting and cooling on this. And as somebody who's recently experienced what it means to make sure that your graphics card stays within a relatively cool air, range, what are you seeing that really stands out about this card's build?
So the biggest thing is all these heat pipes coming out the back. This is a lot more than I'm used to. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 heat pipes running through this cooler to keep this thing as cold as can be. If you can get, you can kind of see it down there in between all of this. how those work. But yeah, this is just a really big card, honestly. This is a card that you definitely want to make sure you have a case that this can fit.
Yeah.
Before you buy this.
You have an ITX build and you like
yeah.
go to put it in and you're like, oh wait.
Like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Nice. Getting that all put together.
Well, this does.
Yeah, the back plates are really cool. They stand out. It used to be that there was nothing on the back plates. Like back with the 10 series, they were just kind of there. You know? Mm-hmm. Now they're just gorgeous. And I love the fact that when you look in your case, you're not looking at just that PCB on the back. Speaking of PCB, what does that stand for? And also, what does it look like inside of a graphics card so people kind of understand how this works and functions, and also why it's important to keep your GPU cooled?
Yeah, so the PCB is this orange part that you can see right here. This is the actual, component board that is used to mount everything. So when we say PCB, that's what we're talking about. So I can go to our 1050 Ti here, because this is a good example to show you all what a video card actually looks like. So this giant card that I've got right here is built just like this one. This is just obviously smaller. This is our 1050 Ti. And I've removed the screws that hold the cooler on. So we'll go ahead and take that off and show you all what a video card actually looks like. So this is your video card right here. That's about the thermal paste is your GPU, and then we've got our memory chips around that for our VRAM. But if I were to take the cooler off this giant 4090, it would be just as thin as this. Obviously the PCB would be a little bit longer, but it would be just as thin as this. So it really just shows you the bulk of your video card is to deal with the heat that it produces.
Yeah, that is all sorts of wild right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hayden, where are you at in the process of things? Let's talk about that and catch up with you for a second.
Yep, I just installed our CPU splitter, because on this... Well, do we need a CPU splitter, Paul? I don't think we did, actually. Do we have two CPU cables?
There's only one on this,
okay,
yeah.
We need. So yeah, I plugged in the CPU splitter, because we only have one for that power supply. And I've kind of gotten the cable management managed up at the top, so I'm now ready for the power supply.
Now ready for the power supply. Boom, boom,
boom. All right, let's talk about the power supply here today, without that popping up on my face. This is a 1,000-watt Gigabyte UD 1000 GM 80 plus gold. This is quite an extensive power supply. And I also see you pulling cables out separately. What kind of a power supply is this?
Yeah, so this is a fully modular power supply. This is a Gigabyte 1000 UD GM, so it's 80 plus gold. But yeah, the big thing to take away from this is that it's fully modular. So none of the cables come pre-soldered into the power supply, which allows us to install the cables really however we want. We can install the CPU cables on the motherboard and run them out the back, which is what we typically do before installing the actual brick itself. So
gotcha.
Now Hayden is going through the cables that come with it and installing just the cables we need, and then the rest will go in the accessory box, and that'll just make the tie-up a lot cleaner, less cables that you have to bundle up and tuck away.
Samantha asks a great question. Are there tools that you would recommend having before starting to build a PC?
Yeah, so really what you want to have is a screwdriver, number 2 Phillips. You can do a number 1 as well for the M.2 screwdriver. It's just a smaller version of the Phillips. You just need those, and standoff screwdriver can help.
Like holding it with pliers or something like that.
Yeah, holding it with pliers. Usually the cases will come with a little tool that goes over the standoff, and then you screw it in. Yeah. Yeah, we don't use them here because they're kind of, they're not as easy to use as a standoff screwdriver.
Again, yeah.
But yeah, those, and I mean, we use snips here, these to cut zip ties, but if you're not planning on doing zip ties, you don't need these, or you could use scissors. But really the only thing that you absolutely need to have is a Phillips screwdriver. Everything else is just
one that
extra.
has a tiny tip on it, but yeah.
Yeah, you want a number 2 Phillips for pretty much everything, and a number 1 for the M.2 screwdriver.
Yep. Because I had to use this thick, sharp beast to get that rear air dam off. And I'm fortunate this thing has a very tiny tip on it. Like, it goes really fine. And so I was able to get it in there and not strip the screw out, pulling things out. But I realized I also need to find my tool set. Which, you know, and if, I'm going to get to that point where I can't find it. And then I'm going to finally buy one on Amazon. And the day that it arrives, or 2 weeks after it arrives, right after I can't return it, is when I will run into my old leatherbacks. It is my luck. It happens constantly. Okay. Now we're getting all these things plugged in. Obviously, you got you mentioned the way that the airflow is going to work and why that's beneficial for the power supply unit. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Having the power supply on the back of the case. So yeah, power supply will get its own air in from the side that Hayden's on, and then it will exhaust it out the back. So none of that heat gets into the main body of the case.
Can confirm it works like that on mine. Samantha says, do you have monitor recommendations as budget friendly as possible, please? That's a good question.
Yeah, so monitor recommendation, that's going to be kind of based on your system build, because if you're putting the money into your system for it to run at 2K 144 hertz or higher than that, then I would definitely recommend going with a monitor like that. Now, if you're not looking to go into 2K or 4K and you just want highest frames as possible, you can go with just a solid 1080p monitor. There's plenty of good cheap options for a 1080p high refresh rate monitor out there. What you want to look at are resolution, which is either 1080, 2K, 4K, and then you want to look at refresh rate, which the common refresh rate now is 144. It used to be 60, so like on our old CRT monitors everybody used to have, those are all 60 hertz. But pretty much standard now is 144 and higher. So anything at 144 or higher for a refresh rate is what I would go with, and 1080p or higher depending on your system. So if you got just a regular system, I'd go 1080p 144 hertz.
Perfect. And it says what would be monitors needed for the PC y'all are giving away?
So the one we're giving
Pretty much
away
sure.
is a beast. So
Yeah.
you know, you can go as
Anything
high
that
as you want.
Yeah, that's just an HDMI or display port out, your call. And again, I wanted to point out, because I got this so confused when we were last talking about it, but I was always getting DisplayPort confused as also being like DVI. Remember when DVI was a thing?
Oh, yep.
My 1070 that I have in my streaming PC has a DVI port on it.
Dang, okay.
And I never knew which version, because there was like 18 different connector types that would fit into things. So I never knew which ones actually had audio deliverable with it. Like, there was nothing made sense with them. It was the strangest port system I'd ever come across.
Yeah, it's nice that we've got away from those like really long pins. You know, it was VGA, that blue connection, and then DVI, the white one. DVI was like, oh, so much better than VGA. And then we went to HDMI, which is so much better. And then now we're at DP, which is even better.
Yeah. I live at 144, especially now. Now it's 144 is, I've managed everything on this machine can pull at 144. It's great. It's wild, the level of detail. I'm excited to eventually to get back into Dying Light 2, because Dying Light 2 at Ultra, the detail is wildly breathtaking, especially when you're up there in the air glider and you're just kind of floating around the city. The things you can see are just, it's a night and day difference. 'Cause I think I was playing on medium last time in order to get the right number of the right for FPS. Acer has a 360 hertz monitor for around 350 because it was unknown for a few months later. It was 680. Oh. And Samantha, I'll be honest, the only thing that changes the fact that everybody can win, it only takes one winning entry to get it. Now, the more entries you have, the more of a chance that you have of walking away with that PC. All right, so now we're getting everything connected to the motherboard. What do you have a preferred order or way of determining or discerning what goes where on the motherboard?
What do you mean by what goes where?
Like, do you plug certain things in first and...
Oh, yeah, so it kind of just depends on my mood, but everything... Let's get a shot. Yep, there we go. Everything on the bottom here, if it was like a smaller case, I would run all of this first before putting in my bottom fans, just because it gets in the way. Since I kind of have room and I have small hands, I can get behind there, so there was no problem for me. But kind of just depends. If you have, like, you know, in the past I always plug my CPU in first because my radiator's in the way. Obviously, there's a massive gap, so I don't need to worry about plugging stuff in first before the others.
Nice.
So it depends on the case.
All right. Getting that final section going. And the one thing that I would love to do is to so we have two things that are about to happen. You still have the opportunity to guess how many zip ties Hayden has used today, and he will clip those all and keep a good, decent record of them. The other thing we want to do is talk to you about how you can get your hands on an amazing PC. So, at CLXgaming.com, we try and make it as easy as possible to get the PC of your dreams that's configured the way you want it in order to meet your needs. Whether you need to choose your motherboard, graphics card, processor, and more, you could hand build your machine right here from our tool, and you don't have to be an expert to use it. In the event that you accidentally choose something that's not necessarily compatible with another component, you'll see that little yellow button show that says Solve Conflicts. So a great example of that is if you have a DDR5 motherboard that you chose, but the RAM is a DDR4, it'll show you, hey, this is the RAM that works with the motherboard you chose, or these are the motherboards that will work with the RAM you chose, allowing you to fix that problem and make sure that you've got the right things to do the right job. And it all comes through, and once you get that green button, you just roll it right on out to checkout. And in that menu, you also have a peripherals tab down on the far end that allows you to get everything you could think of, including amazing CLX gear, like this hoodie. Well, technically it's a windbreaker, but you know what I mean. And if you're not really super into building your own PC, don't worry. We have dozens upon dozens of different ready to ship pre-built options that have been through the same rigorous testing that our custom builds go through, and they are looking for a home, and who knows, that home might just be yours. So for all of your CLX, for all your gaming needs, and to step your game up to the next level, head on over to clxgaming.com. And for those who haven't seen them, you can also, let me put the special in here. We have special builds that have some incredible design elements on them. Absolutely amazing. Check out that link. Give it a follow. There you go. Intel versus AMD. That's an excellent question, Samantha. I think that's more personal preference, but everybody's got their opinion.
I love seeing all these guesses for Hayden zip ties. Let's see, what do I think we're at?
I've also cut some and put them on the side.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit higher on this. I think you all around the 16 to 18 are close. I'll split the difference and say 17.
Okay. 21. Sasko says, would you say Sunday? Sunday or Sunday? Oh, yeah. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. And I'll be honest, it is Not the first time I've done that.
You've made a lot of people happy.
There you go. It's like the whole EA Sports thing. EA Sports. It's in the game.
That's amazing. That made me happy.
CLX. It's in the build. Blam. That's a questionable one at best. Yes, you're welcome. That's what we do. Transport me back to a time when I had hair. Okay. So now we're on to those the last final steps. We got
All
our
done.
uh-oh.
All right, so the tie-up is all done. So we just got to throw this beast of a video card in, put some panels on, and we're good.
Sweet. All right, chat. How many different pieces, how many tails did he cut off? How many zip ties did he use? Now he's gonna have to probably count those.
I already counted them.
Oh.
Oh, there we
All
go.
right,
So
you got,
people, here we
like-
go. Get your guesses in now. How many things do you think are sitting there in a little pile? We got a 15 from Twinkie Smuggler. I know we've got a 21 up there. 17 from Zombie Rain. Zeus said 21. Jedi Smuggler said, or Zeus said 20. Jedi Smuggler said 21. We got 14, 9, and 17 again. Hey, Necro, and Samantha all guessing. Look at this. All right, we've got a whole lot of guesses. So, what was it?
16.
16.
Really?
16.
16.
16.
It's always amazing that yeah. Good grief. Okay. So now we're going to work on getting this card in here. Obviously, this card weighs a ton, which you want to make sure that you're not trying to stress out the bracket and the mounting brace that is attached to the motherboard. So in order to do that, we have to use something called an anti-sag device. Paul, what are those and how do they work?
Yeah, so what an anti-sag device does is, let's say our system is, or our card is sitting in our system like this, like most systems. Once you have a card this big, there's a lot of weight on this side. So when it's sitting in, we have 2 screws that secure it to the case over here, like every standard card. Then you've got all this weight over here that isn't supported. So when you have a really heavy card, it can cause the card to sag a little bit this way, and maybe even tilt forward. And so other than just not looking the best, that can also cause damage to your motherboard where it's connected via this PCIe slot. So to prevent that, there's all sorts of types of brackets you can put in your system to secure this side of the video card. Now you don't need to do this for every card, but on big cards like this, you definitely want to do it. So Hayden is getting the bracket ready that specifically comes with this case because it's a little different. But there's a bunch of different brackets out there, and I actually saved the one that came with this card to use as an example here. This one I would not recommend using. There are better brackets than this, but this is what comes with the card from MSI. And what this does is, if we have our video card in our system, this will mount to those similar screw holes and provide a little bit of support here. Now what I don't like about this card is it doesn't really have any screws that mount to the case on this side. So we like using, we have a Leon Lee bracket that we like to use. There's a few different models of it.
This one
but you
actually
can see,
comes with,
yeah, the one Hayden's got actually comes with this case. So it's actually gonna screw into the frame of the case. That's what he's handling right now. And then we can adjust that slider arm to the bottom of this video card and then put the set screw in to hold it in place.
There we go.
Got it. We got a question coming in from Scott Wins. What up, Scott? We're going to be playing a little Destiny 2 later on today together. It says, got a question for you. I've got a Ryzen 7 5800X paired with a 2060 12 gig. I'd like to upgrade my GPU sometime, so what would you recommend?
If you're not in a super rush to do it, I would wait for the 4060 to come out from that 20. I guess the 4060 is out, isn't it?
I think it's out.
Yeah,
I think
it's out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the TI is
Just
out,
came out?
or about to be out. Yeah, I would
Okay.
go with 4060, 4060 Ti. If you've got some more room in your budget, you could, obviously go to a 4070, 4080 from there. But the first thing I would recommend start looking at is the 4060 or the 4060 Ti.
Nice. Excellent answer.
I'd go with the 1080 Ti.
Go with the 1080 Ti. Hayden's got a 1080 Ti he'll sell you for sure.
There we go. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
4060 Ti has got some really great stats on it too. How often do you think people should clean their PCs? Samantha asks. That's an excellent question that we get asked often here.
Yeah.
Paul?
So if I was putting out a professional recommendation for cleaning your PC, I would say once a month. Realistically,
every 3 months.
I can't remember the last time I cleaned my PC. I'll take the dust filters off and wipe them down probably every 6 months or so.
6 months is a good window. I just cleaned mine.
It's pretty bad.
Months, so.
yeah. So honestly, real world scenario, do it every 6 months. But if I'm given the, the official stamp of approval, I'd say once a month. But really, it depends on how many cats. You got a whole clan of cats in your house, or what do you got going on in there? So, yeah, once every 6 months is fine.
Temperance says you need a chalkboard with that counts the questions because it seems like it's every stream. Yeah, listen, good questions too. Scott Wynn says good to know. Went from the 7th generation i7 to this CPU and it's so much better. Gave my 2060 a lot of leg room, but I feel like my CPU isn't fully being utilized.
Yeah, with that 5800X, I mean, that is a solid processor you got there. That's going to last for a while. So I would say, yeah, if there was a bottleneck anywhere in your system, assuming, you've got at least 16 gigs of RAM, probably be that 2060. That 2060 is for sure not a bad card, but for upgrade path, best bang for your buck, that's where I would start first. Sounds like you got the right idea.
Wait, you have 48 gigs of RAM? How did you manage to hit that number? It's like a 12 gig sticks?
It's like been buying it 1 gig at a time.
You can buy 2 sticks of 48, I believe.
Or 2 sticks of 24 to make 48?
I don't know. There's so many RAM types.
There's a lot of different ones now.
Samantha says, I love when Hayden reaches in his arm and like disappears into the PC.
It's a big case.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. It's a very, very tall case.
Next episode, I'm going to crawl inside it and just hide.
There you go.
So we're using an elite case is what you're telling me.
Yeah. All right. Brackets
that would be so funny if we were building an elite and we had like the case box out here and we opened it up and Hayden was in it.
Yeah.
It comes with the builder.
Yeah, I'll come to your house and help you set it up.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Hayden can be bought.
I can be bought.
Mm-hmm.
Righty.
All
right. Everything all good?
It looks good.
That was pretty quick,
And we get to
Hayden.
put all these cool panels back on.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start throwing our panels back on, and we'll get it plugged in and make sure everything turns on.
Now, while we're doing that, I did mention something earlier that we really didn't go into detail, and that's about what happens when these when these computers are finished being built. Where do they go, and what do you do with them?
Yeah, so any machine here, whether it's a customer build like this, your system, DJ, Drake's system over there, the giveaway in the back, any system, once it's done being built and turns on, it goes to our testing and integration department. And the first thing we do there is get into the BIOS of the machine. And we'll check that all your storage devices are showing up. So if you've got multiple storage drives, that's where we make sure they're showing up. We'll make sure your RAM speed is set correctly and mess around with a couple of their settings depending on the build. Then after that, we'll load your operating system. If you picked a browser or any games on our website to load, that's where we'll load that. If you didn't pick anything, you get a fresh install. We don't put any bloatware on the system. You're not going to get 20 different versions of antivirus on your system. If you didn't pick any software, you're just going to get a clean OS with nothing else on it. Then after that, we stress test the system for 12 hours. So we've got a few benchmarking softwares we run our systems through here. For that, the main one being 3D Mark. And we like to do that for 12 hours because that allows us to catch any component that will work when the system's on, but in a gaming environment causes it to fail. And that way you get a stable system at home.
Yep. Can concur. Buy Drake's PC, we will miss you. Yes, that's... And it's sitting over there, the Lost City PC. Still awesome to see in the background.
That will be gone.
Yeah, it'll be on. Hayden's taking it out of here today. So it'll ship sometime this week, probably tomorrow.
Probably tomorrow. I'm going to do some final touches on it.
Is that
Fine
it?
on that side. There you go.
And the screws for the front panel are in the holes as well.
Okay.
So if you want to...
I just can't ever remember which one goes first.
So,
I think it's back.
yeah, we can do the back door.
Back and then top, and then
The
I
back
think you
door
go-
can go on. That's the top.
This is the back.
Yep. And I'm going to clean off these glass panels while we're doing this.
One cool thing to note, that back panel that Hayden is putting on is what covers your rear cable management area. It is actually lined with combs and fingers that allow you to actually route your cables down in a very unique way so that it's not super visible from the back. You can walk all the way around this PC and not have to worry that your cables may give it unsightly, create an unsightly passion.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the two glass panels ready to go. Everything else is installed the inside. You can kind of see that light track that's in there.
Saying fingerprints all over it.
Hey says, last code, please. Well, I'll tell you this, hey, I'm definitely giving a code on my stream today, which will be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to be playing some little Destiny 2s.
Some Destiny 2 today, okay. We'll be on some Diablo tonight, so
Heck yeah.
first
That should be fun.
night of Diablo 4.
Have you picked your class yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
be a sorceress.
I am a necromancer.
I'm gonna be a tatted up.
Yeah, I went Necro
Cool.
too, dude. I like
Sorceress
the
lady.
little army
I like
of
little
people.
the little skeleton guys. I refunded all my points on that game, and I did on the skill tree, and I went like the bone spirit or bone spears and like bone something route.
Apparently that's the build
Yeah.
for Necro.
So now I just use a bunch of essence, do my bones, and then
Yeah, I don't know.
go from there.
Typically I'd play a Necro, but I'm gonna go sorceress
I
this
kind of want to
time.
make a druid.
Druids look cool, but I heard they were like brain dead, so I don't know if that's just somebody talking a whole bunch of mess or what.
Well, I will say Temperance was kind enough to guide me through the process of understanding a little more about what goes into speccing your character. I definitely got something that it uses. So I've got something that is useful that I like. And my gosh, once we respec'd it,
I've got it. like,
holy
sideways.
cow, the amount of damage was just nuts.
Dang, okay. Yeah, I looked up a build. Because, I don't know. Sometimes I like to play like blind and just like pick my build, but then I end up being like, oh, I'm stuck and
What
can't
meta?
destroy anything. So I'll take some dude who's been basement dwelling and done all the math already for me. So it's like a, what is it? It's a, it's a,
Has to stay.
oh, it's gonna stay. Here. All right. It's
Very heavy.
I forget what I was gonna say. So it's a like electrical, I forget what it is, build. Oh, this thing is huge.
Question asks, what is the music in the background? It's a good question, Steve. Good question. Yes. It is licensed music that our production team has come up with and acquired.
Okay.
Yep, we're gonna get that adjusted just a
Yeah,
wee
we're
bit.
plugged in here in the back first, and then we will get it rotated out.
There we go. Nope. There we go. There we go. Now it looks good.
Are you ready?
Oh, they were like, they can barely hear it? Yeah. Well, it's supposed to just kind of be a background sound. All right. It is the moment of truth, people. Let's take a look and see what's going to happen with this NV7 for Nick in Wisconsin. Ta-da!
Dun, dun,
Oh.
dun. Oh.
Boop.
Oh, I have a fan.
Oh my
unplugged.
gosh. Oh no.
There's a fan.
We
unplugged.
got a fan.
Super
on.
colorful.
Look how colorful it is. You can't even see it.
He'll get that fixed. While he's doing that, let's take a look and to go over one more time what's going in this incredible PC for Nick in Wisconsin. This is a Phanteks NV7 case that has an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D processor mounted on an MSI Pro X670-P Wi-Fi ATX motherboard. It's got 32 gigs of DDR5 5600 RAM and an NVIDIA GeForce 4090 graphics card loaded inside. Your operating system is going to be held on a 4TB Western Digital SN850X M.2 SSD, which is cooled by the processor is being cooled by a CLX Quench 360 closed-loop cooler and 12 different Gamdias Aeolus M2 ARGB fans. Not even sure what my voice broke right there. Plus, it's going to be all powered by a 1,000-watt Gigabyte UD1000 GM 80+ gold power supply unit. Ta-da!
Is it this one?
Awesome.
Is it that one?
I don't think so.
That's it.
Right? Samantha's like, Nick in Wisconsin is about to hack the Pentagon with a PC like this.
For real.
Very colorful, very bright. I love it.
We are just going to get in here real quick
Yeah.
to see about that fan. So Hayden is
2 fans off.
checking the fan controller box. So what we can do is figure out which fan it's plugged in to the box, which will get us there, and then also we can just plug that into a different header on the control box as well, and that will tell us if it's the fan or the fan controller.
Gotcha. It's just kind of just gotta test it. I love that we're seeing these one by one shut off. That's lower front.
That is the fan.
All right, you found it.
So, Paul isn't plugged in. Could just be a dead fan. Here, let's see.
Yeah, it feels plugged in, but
Swap it to a different part of the controller.
yeah, that's what we're doing. We're swapping it.
Yeah.
So
Because we know that port works.
So these fans, something that's pretty nice with these, they have a cable going into the fan itself. So like I unplugged the fan, Hayden.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna grab an extra fan that I've got right here and plug it into this. That's the sound of something in your fan right there. It's the
That's a
sound of
finger
your-
in the
Right?
fan.
That's the sound you don't want.
Yeah, the sound of your finger being in a fan. Let's go ahead and rotate this a little bit. Your leash is around my legs, Hayden, just so you know.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
You're good, you're good.
Good old troubleshoot.
So this is a great way to test whether or not it's just the cable or whether it's the fan.
So Hayden, can I feed
Yeah, I
this
can
to
grab
you?
Which way are you going here?
Here, you feed the one side to me, actually.
All the little steps.
Here. Right here. See it?
Nope,
You see it?
nope.
It got me. It got me.
What you doing?
All right, so I think we'll let Hayden get this fixed. Right there. This is the new cable.
Yes.
I was gonna say we'll let you get this fixed at the start of the second part of the show, but we might as well. Plug this in real quick.
What I'll probably do is get it fixed in
There we
after
go.
the show.
There you go.
So that was our fan cable there. So we'll get that cleaned up.
Oh yeah. Okay, you're on my leash.
I know. We're stepping all over each other's leashes. So yeah, that is another nice thing about these fans. Being able to unplug the cable from the fan itself saved us from having to take any screws out. So
It saved us from having to take that bracket off.
Which is good. Very good. All right, we'll get that taken in there. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you in 2 parts. We're going to take a break here shortly, but when we come back, you're going to spend the afternoon with Hayden while he continues some other amazing builds that he's going to do at breakneck speed as per usual. You can find out all about what's going on with CLX, including from sales to website to our shows at our social media, which is YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at CLX Gaming. If you'd like to join our Discord community and talk with other like-minded PC enthusiasts, head on over to discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can find this show, CLX Foundry Live, right here on Twitch at CLX Gaming TV every Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 Eastern. We just jump back inside and start building up all sorts of things. I say we, meaning them. If you'd like to know more about our giveaway, it's !GiveAtmo. And of course, there's codes all over the place, and you can get those from our social media to our Discord to our YouTube, and you can get them from my channel. Like, I'll be giving out one today while I'm playing Destiny this afternoon with my buddy Scott Wins. So with that being said, on behalf of Jason and Kyle in production, Paul and Hayden, I'm DJ BluePDX. Don't go away. We've got more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
bye, everybody.
See ya. Thank you.